boys and girls, welcome to the third video. This will be the last video for the week. And make sure that Friday you are turning in your multi-paragraph essay that you type up. And I want to show you today my conclusion paragraph. And remember, we are still focusing on producing clear writing so that the reader can understand the purpose. And our purpose is we are teaching them about our ancient civilization. So make sure that your paper is doing that, teaching someone about the civilization that you chose. Also, make sure that you are drafting along with me and editing to make sure that your paper makes sense and you've got capitalization, punctuation, everything looks good so that the reader can understand that. Okay. So let me show you my conclusion paragraph, and let me remind you, I showed you my introduction, how it had the main idea sentence, it had the 3 subtopics, and I took each of those 3 subtopics, mine were writing, government, and ball game, and I turned each of those into a paragraph. And we went through that in the last video. I showed you each of those paragraphs. The first one was about writing, the second one about government, and the third paragraph was all about what they called the ball game. So now today I'm going to show you my conclusion and conclusion paragraphs. My class, we've talked about it a lot. What is a conclusion paragraph? Well, it's related to the introduction paragraph. I mean, really, they have the same ingredients, but we have to say it in a different way. I've told them often that the introduction paragraph is telling the reader what you're going to tell them. The body or the subtopic paragraphs, that's where we tell them. And then the conclusion, we kind of remind them what we've already told them. We've compared introduction and conclusion paragraphs to twins. We say that they're kind of like twins, fraternal twins. They're not identical. They don't say the exact same thing, but they do say the same thing, but just in a different way. Okay, so make sure that you're reminding your reader of what you already told them in your conclusion paragraph. Okay, so I'll show you how I did that, how I made it sound different from my introduction. So I indented, make sure you're doing that to start with. And then I said, my first sentence, I said, many civilizations learned from the Maya people. Okay, so that's different than how I started my introduction. I started my introduction with the Maya were considered to be one of the most advanced civilizations. So I said it in a different way. I said that many people learned from them. And that's saying the same thing, but in a different way, that they were a civilization that, you know, they were advanced. They had it together, and many people for years to come learned from them. So that's how I decided to say it in the conclusion. And then I said, the next sentence I said, they were one of the first civilizations to communicate and record things through, and then I forgot the word writing. I need to do a little editing here. So that next sentence is reminding the reader that in my paper, I talked about their writing. Okay, so I want to add that in my conclusion. Next sentence, they had a strong sense of government that later other civilizations would learn from. Okay, so I reminded my reader about how I talked about their government. I reminded them in the conclusion. And then the last sentence, they also came together for a sporting event, which many civilizations to come would do as well. Okay, so I reminded them about the ball game in my conclusion. And so make sure that in your conclusion, you know, you are reminding the reader of what you've already talked about in your paper and summing it up in that conclusion. And now it's time for you to get to work with your typing and make sure that you have that multi-paragraph essay turned in by Friday. Let us know if you have any questions. And we are excited to see what you come up with this research project. And don't forget also to get your poem ready for this week and just getting prepped for that May Poetry Cafe that we're going to do. So either have a poem written or one that you find, and you can write it down, you can save it to your drive, whatever you would like to do. Just have that ready for the May Poetry Cafe. And we'll see you soon. Have a nice weekend, 5th graders, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.